Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's jump right into your next topic lesson in Module 1, all about lighting. This is light, temperature, and direction. And this particular lesson is a little bit more involved. So if you have not already, please make sure that you download that resource sheet because there's going to be some really helpful diagrams that go along with this particular lesson that I think will be really helpful for you. So let's go over what light temperature is, what causes it, as well as the direction of light and how to use it. So first of all, we're just going to explore light temperature in reference to warm light and cool light. So whenever we're talking about both warm light and cool light, we are talking about the temperature of the light. So whenever we reference warm light, we are talking about light that typically happens during sunrise and sunset. So that golden hour look, have you ever heard anybody refer to that? That's what they're talking about, that beautiful warm light. And that light temperature is traditionally, it's going to be between 2700 and 3500 Kelvin. And I'm including the temperatures in the Kelvin ranges as reference, but I don't want you to stress out about them too much. I'm just giving them to you so that they're available for you because it's going to come in handy if you choose to use artificial light. And we're going to use that LED that has the ability to adjust that light temperature. So that's whenever it would become really important. So cool light typically happens during the midday hours. And this is going to be during the peak time of the day whenever the sun is high in the sky. Cool light also happens whenever the light is very diffused or whenever it's a really overcast day. And that light temperature is going to fall between 4000 and 6500 Kelvin. So now let's, just like with hard light and soft light, let's take a look at a couple of pictures so that you have a reference point for what I'm talking about. So warm light and cool light, here are both examples of those. So just like with the quality of the light, what temperature of light that you choose is just going to come down to your preference because both of them have beautiful qualities to them. And I told you in the hard light and the soft light lesson that I would elaborate a little bit more on this topic whenever it comes to the direction that the window is facing. So remember that during the sunrise and sunset times, that's when you're going to get a really distinct warm light. So if the sun rises in the east, if you have an east-facing window earlier in the day, the light coming through that window is going to be a little bit warmer. And if you have a west-facing window and it's during sunset hours, that is whenever you're going to see a lot of warm light coming through that west-facing window. Now, cool light, you're going to get cool light during the peak time of the day, no matter what direction your window is facing. So if it's noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to probably get cool light through your window no matter what direction that's facing. So let's talk a little bit about how we get warm light. So you're going to get warm light again from an east-facing window at sunrise and a west-facing window at sunset. And also any window during sunrise and sunset will have some level of warm light quality to it. So for natural light coming from those windows, if you're really going for the warm light look, you are going to want to choose that east-facing window in the morning and that west-facing window in the evening. Now, when it comes to cool light, how we're going to get that is during the peak sun time of the day. And any window during those midday hours is going to be ideal for you. But also a note that if it's a overcast or a rainy day, that you're going to have cool light the entire day. So now that we know about the temperature of the light that we're working with, let's move on to light direction. And I know that I already touched a little bit on light direction regarding natural light whenever I was talking about how it comes through a window. But that's the cardinal direction. Right now I'm talking about specifically lighting direction and how we're going to light our food in the scene. And so all of that's going to make sense, especially when we get into the next video, which is going to be your video lesson. When I do the demonstration, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about whenever I'm talking about lighting direction. So we're going to talk about the two main lighting directions for food, and we're going to talk about side light as well as backlight. So these are the two main lighting scenarios that you're going to be working with. And they can be adjusted slightly depending on what you prefer and what your specific subject is. but these are the two primary ones that you're going to want to go with. So keep this in mind, because we don't want to be using overhead lighting, because that's going to be a top-down lighting. We don't want top-down lighting. And we also don't want lighting coming from behind us. And I'll show you an example of a diagram in a minute so you know what I'm talking about. So here's a diagram of side lighting. So this would be, you're facing the food and you've got a window to your left or even to your right, and that light is coming in from the side. So if we're talking about backlight, that would mean that the light source is behind the food and the food is in between you and that light source. So you're standing there taking the picture and the light is coming from behind. So just like I showed you with the hard light and the soft light and with the warm light and cool light, I'm going to show you a couple examples so that you get a good visual representation of what we're talking about here. So this is an example of side light, and it's a little bit hard to see on the actual bowl of soup or chili, but you can see it next to the bowl of chips. So that shadow is on the right side, which means that the light source in this particular image is positioned to the left side. This is side light on the left. Now I'm going to show you an example of backlight. So this is backlight. So the light source is behind the food, and you can see that because the shadow that it's casting is to the front. So the light source is in the back, the shadow is to the front, and that is how you're going to achieve that backlight look. And when it comes to lighting direction for food, you never want to place yourself between the light source and your subjects, because what's going to happen is it's going to create either a really distinct shadow of you on the food, but even if it doesn't create a shadow on the food, lighting your food from that direction is not at all ideal for accentuating the texture and accentuating the vibrancy and the different color variations in the food, which we talked about in the intro to lighting, that emphasizing those things is really important when it comes to showing off our food. So we don't want to cause any of those unnecessary shadows, and we also don't want to lose any of that visible texture or any of that vibrancy in our food photos. So again, I know just like with the other topic lessons, this might be a lot to digest for you, but jump right in to the next video, which is your video lesson. And we're going to do a demonstration. If you still feel like you're struggling with something, come back, watch the video again, and feel free to repeat watching those videos as many times as you need to. But now that we have gone over our light temperature and we have gone over our light direction in reference to how we're lighting our scene, let's jump right into the most fun part of this entire module, the video lesson. So let's go.